Today, I want to talk about authentic engagement on the internet. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because people are splitting into groups, and it's roughly two groups. One is generating lots of AI-generated content, whether it be music videos, documentaries, social media posts, academic papers, you name it. If an AI can generate it, they do, and they're creating automated loops to generate all these things. And then there's a second group of people who really hate AI-generated content. And the first group doesn't really understand the second group. In fact, I've seen a lot of people say from the first group, why would people get upset if the content is actually engaging and it's informative? If I create a documentary and it's correct and it's informative and it's interesting, well, why would people care if it's generated by an AI or generated by a human? And so that's what I want to look into today. And the key lies in why humans communicate with each other. And so that's what I want to look at. And there's lots of reasons why humans communicate with each other, but I'm going to focus on two major ones, and those are information and connection. So the first may be obvious, right? So human beings have needed to communicate to each other in order to give each other useful information. Hey, there's a tiger over there. There's an enemy coming at the gates. Or maybe if you invent something or you have some way of doing things like farming, you want to teach someone and you need to give that information to someone else. And the reason for this information exchange is to make better decisions and live a better life. Without communication, you would live a worse life. And so information is one of those major reasons why humans communicate. The second major reason is connection, and particularly human connection. There's animals out there that live by themselves, but human beings are social animals. And in order to be a healthy human being, you have to have human connections or connections with other human beings. And so that's just part of being healthy and having a healthy society as well. And so these things are related to each other because in order to create a good relationship with someone, you share good information. And so you could imagine you build trust with other people in your tribe or other tribes if you exchange information and say, hey, there's that place over there is pretty dangerous because there's lions over there or something, and you give them good information. Well, that helps you build trust, right? So relationships grow based on the information exchange. If you give bad information or you're tearing someone down or, there's no reason for you to make someone upset, well, that is also information and that will ruin relationships. So it goes both ways. But regardless, information is key to developing connections with other human beings. And I'll get to that in a second. So what we want to do is develop good relationships with each other. And that actually goes into my next point, where we connect with even dead authors and artists by their work, right? They poured their soul and their mind into their work, whether it be a painting or a song or a book. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if somebody has been dead for hundreds of years, you can read their book or look at their painting or listen to their song, and somehow you feel connected with them. And that's a very powerful thing for human beings. Now, imagine if you don't know that you're talking with a bot or not, right? How do you imagine if every interaction that you have on the internet is now unknown? Right? And so this is actually very interesting because people who generate lots of AI content, they're like, well, what if it gets so good that you can't tell, right? What if I am able to write a book and you just can't tell anymore? Well, then why would you care because you can't tell? Well, it goes back to this idea of connection where if now that's actually even worse. It's worse if you can't tell because now any any interaction that you have on the internet is now suspect, right? You basically, it's dead internet theory, where essentially it's like you're talking into the void and you're getting responses back, but there's actually nobody there, and you can't actually make a relationship. And if you go back to, say, the early internet, people created great friendships over the internet, right? There's people who created friendships over playing World of Warcraft. There's people who even met their spouse playing World of Warcraft. And think about this, like playing World of Warcraft is a social thing. It takes cooperation, which means you need to provide good information. So those good relationships were only possible because people were exchanging information with each other. And so now if you have, say, players like World of Warcraft players that are complete bots and you can't tell if they're human or not, well, now you can't make connections with actual human beings. You never know if they're a human being or not. And so that means that every connection that you have is basically worthless and meaningless. Now, I know some people don't see that way, but a lot of people do, and that's biologically built into us. And this is why the dead internet is so depressing. It's because if you go and there's more bots than there are actual human beings, then basically just by random chance, you're more likely to interact with a bot, which means you're never able to connect with someone who's actually out there. And that's just a depressing thing. And this is also why it's important to have spaces where you're interacting with human beings. Now, I think, maybe we should have some places it's like, okay, you can post whatever and you can do experiments where you can have these bots and people interact with the bots. But I think it's important to have at least some place at least some set of places where it's like, hey, this is for humans. So humans can talk to each other, and so humans can interact with each other and maybe form friendships and build trust and do all of these things that we do as social animals. And that's essentially all I wanted to say, right? I just wanted to explain that to everybody because I've heard some people like talking. I've watched some people kind of argue about this. And that's basically it. So next time, hopefully I'll have more like programming or something, but who knows, I may have more like philosophical, AI things. Have a good day, and till next time.